This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Princess of Silmar ran like a champion this afternoon. And Strong Mandate is geared down for the last 16th of a mile. Oh, this is a very promising two-year-old. Mike Smith says go with Royal Delta, and she is going indeed. Will take charges surging, and it's a photo finish. It's too close to call. Alpha wins the Woodward.
Broadcasting live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track. And Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com.
Good morning and welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. Beautiful morning up here in Saratoga. I was kind of surprised. I listened to the weather on the drive-in on the radio. I guess Albany got hit with some crazy rain yesterday, flooding and whatnot. I was over in Amsterdam and we didn't really get anything. And I came to the sales last night, and I don't think during the day it didn't look that wet around here. But so if you were down in that area and worried, it's gorgeous up here today. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that things hold. In fact, the forecast is nice. I think there's like a 20% chance of some showers or something like that. But beautiful right now, as it has been pretty much for the first couple of weeks of racing. Before we get into the guest lineup, which includes Joe Clancy, Pete Fornatel, and Paul Saylor, we're going to head to a video, as we do every morning, from Jeff Carl, who is live on the backstretch, live via tape. But I'm being told we're racking that up at the moment. But Jeff is going to talk a little bit about the leaderboards. We're 15, 16 days into the meet. Take a look at leading jockeys, leading trainers, and also we caught up with Junior Alvarado. We'll have a little bit of fill in on that as well. And as we are waiting. Oh, well, here we go. Now I'm being told we are set to go, so we'll throw it off to Jeff Carl.
Good morning, Seth. Coming to you from the 7 furlong shoot here on the Saratoga backstretch as we enter the full third week of the Saratoga meet. Just want to give everybody a quick update on the trainer and jockey leaderboard. No surprise, the leader as far as trainers, Todd Pletcher with 15 wins. Graham Motion and Chad Brown with 7 wins apiece are in second. In the jockey standings, Javier Castellano in front. He has 22 wins, followed by John Velasquez with 17. Then the Ortiz brothers, Erad and Jose with 15 and 14 respectively. Speaking of jockeys, I was out here yesterday. Yes, you're an intrepid reporter out here on a day off. And I had the opportunity to meet up with jockey Junior Alvarado and his agent Mike Salito. Junior just had that winning ride on Marino over the weekend. I discussed with him that ride, and his thoughts were, I asked him what the difference was between the Whitney and his second place finish in the Suburban, his prior start. His initial thought was post position. When you go back and you look at the Suburban, he said, Jeff, the way we broke that mile and a quarter at Belmont, the starting gate is right on the turn. I had the far outside post. He said it cost me 3 or 4 lengths right from the get-go. He says, take nothing away from the winner. But he also learned an awful lot about Marino that day, he told me. That was the first time he'd been aboard him in the afternoons. And I asked him about a horse that is a front runner like that and how maybe he gets him to relax. He said, actually, I don't really get him to relax. He says he gets out in front, and he gets a little bit unfocused. He goes, I have to try to keep his attention. But he said just that familiarity and the better post position, those two components were what he thought were very vital to that impressive win he had in the Whitney on Saturday. So yes, I had a chance to meet up with Junior Alvarado and a very happy agent, Mike Salito. That was a nice purse for them to win. But again, they thought, Junior especially thought the main component was familiarity, just knowing that horse and having a better post position led to that nice Whitney win. So Seth, I'm going to send it back to you in Racing Across America.
Thanks, Jeff. All right, we're joined now by Joe Clancy of the Saratoga Special. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning. How's things?
As always on Wednesdays and Thursdays, one or the other, the Clancy brothers, Joe or Sean, talk a little steeplechase racing and steeplechase racing the 2014 Saratoga season, Wednesday and Thursday mornings. And again, we want to remind people, if you want to come up for the steeplechase race, they kick off a little early. 12:25 is the post time, Wednesdays and Thursdays. Steeplechase racing is the first race. Before we get to that, Joe, just want to talk with Sean last week that you were heading into the marathon session for the Saratoga Special. 12 straight editions. I guess you're kind of in the middle of that, but you do it because you cover the sales, which were last night and the night before, Monday and Tuesday night, the Fasig-Tipton yearling sale. And I logged onto the digital edition on your website today. Really, if folks want some nice comprehensive coverage of the sales, pick up a copy of the edition when you're on track today, or log on and read it online. But do a great job of covering the sales. And I just wanted to touch on over the 2 nights, 3 7-figure runners, a couple of those fillies by Tapit. Last night there was a Warfront filly, all 3 of them fillies. Warfront last night went for $1.25 million. There was a Tapit filly on Monday night out of She Be Wild, went for $1.15, and an even million for Tapit out of Rote. And that one was kind of interesting. We had Glennie Kane Oford on with us Sunday, and she said that was going to be one to keep your eyes on, because that was kind of a weanling pin hook. They paid, as a weanling, they paid about $500,000. But it sounds like overall, over the couple of nights, they were pretty happy with the results.
Yeah, and we've talked to buyers and sellers, and both seem very happy. There's good horses around and money around to buy them, and it was kind of interesting to see Wayne Lukas and Willis Horton step up and buy the sales topper last night, related to Will Take Charge, and you can kind of see why they would do it. And looks like a nice filly. Obviously, it's tough for guys like me to draw a real straight line to racing ability from yearlings, but you can see it. I mean, the breeding's there, the pedigree's there, and that's why they come to Saratoga, because it's such a select group of horses. And it was nice to see. Nice to see the strong sales, and people seem happy all around.
Yeah, and it was just a fun couple of nights too. Again, if you don't come up to the sales, make it a point maybe next year, because a nice big crowd out in the backyard, and it's just and a lot of those people are just guys like me who are out there watching and just enjoying the action. But that's part of the fun of Saratoga.
Don't raise your hand.
Scratch your head. Yeah, don't scratch your head.
And they do have the New York bred sales this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. A little lower key crowd-wise, but same idea. I mean, there's some nice horses going through there, and that program is bigger and better all the time. And it's free to wander around and soak it up. So sure, it's for fans who want to see that side of the game, it's fun to go see. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. All right, let's shift our attention to another fun part of Saratoga, steeplechase racing. Before we talk about today and tomorrow, I wanted to pull up and get your thoughts on last Thursday's Grade 1 event. That was the Smithwick on Thursday Thursday afternoon, again early, 12:25. But the Smithwick. Number 2, Macari, is going to be the horse that wins as we watch the stretch run here. The story is probably the 3-pronged Shepherd entry. Italian Wedding, Barnstorming, and Divine Fortune at 3 to 5 finish off the board, getting no better than 6th, which triggers some nice show prices, $13, $18, and $22 in the show pools. Macari was interesting, though. Second choice at 9 to 2. And came in, this was the first start in the United States. I never quite know what to do with these jumpers coming over here. But Macari gets it done pretty nicely and is a win for Elizabeth Voss.
Yeah, it was a great story, really. Elizabeth Voss, Tom Voss's daughter, and sort of stepped into the stable, got handed the stable, and has done really well. I mean, to see them step up and win the Smithwick with a horse they just bought in England, I'm with you. It's a little tricky to know what to do with some of the recent Europeans. I like the ones that haven't been here very long. Probably that's, if you can figure that out. I mean, he had only been here 2 weeks and had run very well. Came off 2 really good efforts over there. Got in light, and the Shepherd entry featuring Divine Fortune was certainly deserved to be the favorite, but at 3 to 5, I think you kind of had to take a stand against them. I liked Demonstrative a little bit at a big price, and it was nice to see him come back and run really well. Macari looks like a nice horse. It'll be interesting to see if they come back and run him in the Turf Riders 3 weeks later. It seems like that's where the European horses sometimes get a little found out, when they're trying to come back and run again. So we'll see. It was a nice effort, great for them. The Smithwick family and the Voss family are very close, so it was a meaningful win, that's for sure.
And as you mentioned, running second was Demonstrative, and a nice ding-dong battle there, and Demonstrative demonstrative was the 2012 winner of the New York Turf Riders. So as a 7-year-old, nice to see him still out there knocking and being competitive. All right, let's take a look at a couple of jump races this week. First race today and the first race tomorrow. First thing we have to do, because I pulled up a video and I don't know whether to show it today or tomorrow, but I wanted to get a little inside family information on Lilyhammer. Folks will see it's Riverdee Stables, and we talked with Sean last week. We showed Valdez when he was on the show a couple weeks ago. Riverdee Stables, he had a nice runner over there in Cheltenham, and that had to be a thrill, particularly about an eighth of a mile away. He was right in the thick of things. Yeah. But Riverdee runs Lilyhammer. Cross entered tomorrow.
She runs tomorrow. So
okay, all right. So we'll wait a minute before we show the video then and talk about today's race. Tomorrow's a nice little stakes action, but today's an allowance, a C-level allowance for 4-year-olds and up, going at 2 1/16. And we were talking, Brian Nadeau, and you and I were talking before we went on the air. Manticore 5-2 on the morning line. The game plan there probably is the thought that folks will focus on that flat race. I did, because I like horses coming off of good flat efforts. Horses, particularly that have shown some ability over the jumps before. So I went in that direction with Manticore. I thought all the way Jose, the Shepherd horse, was probably the logical contender on the more focused jump side of things. Broke the maiden last time, but had been competitive in a couple of starts before that, and it is Jonathan Shepherd. So to me, the race kind of goes through one or the other of those two.
Yeah, all the way Jose really stepped up. He ran at Fair Hill in the end of May and was very green, was in front, too strong early, not settled. Jumping fine, but just doing way too much work and got caught late. And they said they changed a bit to give their jockey a little more control, schooled him a little more, got him some experience schooling, with other horses and up front, and ran and put blinkers on him, and he ran much more professionally at Parks. And looks like a nice young horse on the way up for Jonathan, that's for sure.
And that's notable too. You mentioned that last race was at Parks, and that's something that attracted my attention as well. And I was really going back and forth, but proven now over a real racetrack jump circuit. So.
Definitely, and he ran well enough as a 3-year-old last year. Jonathan usually doesn't crank his 3-year-olds up to be, sharp over jumps. He ran well enough, made you think he's okay. Has obviously learned his lessons, comes in here. Like always, he's a maiden winner, and he has to step up to the allowance company against maybe some, at least they're older horses. He's not giving away that much inexperience, but there's a few older horses. Manticore, I was impressed to see that flat win, and I also like that Patty Young gets on him. Patty's going to give him a good trip and give him every chance. I don't know if his jump form's quite as good as some of these in here, but ran a decent race in Virginia. The second he has to Top Man Michael. That's a pretty good effort, 3 races back. And yeah, if he's got enough speed to win at Belmont in a 50 claimer, that puts him right there, I think.
I thought it was kind of similar with Mr. Starr's report, coming off a couple of flat races. Now, it was well beaten last time at 1.5 miles up here, but I wonder if maybe they weren't getting a race in with this maybe in mind, because you go 3 starts back, broke the maiden. Now, it was a 20 tag, but it was over the jumps and did it pretty convincingly. So again, there's another flat horse coming back to the jumps that I thought was a little bit intriguing.
Yeah, I like one that runs, nothing against Mr. Starr's report, I like one that runs a little better.
Yeah,
and he seems so one-dimensional. Like, he's in front on the flat, he's in front over jumps and gets caught. I don't know, to try to build off that race. We'll see. Jack Fisher's a tough guy to toss in any of these races, so I think it kind of depends on how he responds off the other race. I mean, if he really was that flat, and maybe it did sharpen him up, but that also is going to probably put him. He's in front after a half on the flat in 49. He's going to be way in front, I think, here, and there to be shot at or there to be taken on, that's for sure.
And with your brother's horse, he may be the lone speed in here, and that's always dangerous. Yep. Another one and we talked a little bit about the trainer, again, before we went on the air. All That Rules is interesting to me. The concern there is obviously the layoff.
Yeah, long layoff. Seal Murphy comes up from Maryland with some horses, and he had a horse, Charminster, come off a similar layoff and run very well last week. So to me, his horses are fitter than they might look on paper, basically, off of that effort. I think that's a pretty nice horse. He got hurt, he came over from England, ran very well, won a race, got hurt, missed a year, more than a year now, and I think his horses are probably fitter than they look. Again, there's some value because of the layoff, and see if you can take on Shepherd a little bit.
All right, let's shift our attention to tomorrow, the Mrs. Phipps $75,000 purse. It's 2 miles and 1/16, and as noted, we are going to take a look at Lilyhammer. This is. I'm told we don't have Lilyhammer, so we're switching.
No Colonial Downs video.
Yeah, no Colonial Downs. But and picture in your mind a workout, and that's what that one looked like. Lilyhammer took the lead and just lengthened it the entire way around that 2 1/4 mile circuit. Lillehammer broke the maiden. That was a race from June of last year. But again, speed always dangerous, so Lillehammer is kind of intriguing to me. That's not the direction I went, however. I thought Brilliant Match, the Jonathan Shepard runner, who again comes off of a nice flat win down at Presque Isle Downs. It's Jonathan Shepard. I thought the combination made Brilliant Match very intriguing. Kisser and Run is also intriguing to me. Perhaps, a little class relief maybe off those last few. They may be similar, but as compared to some of the other ones, maybe class-wise is a little bit intriguing. Now, this horse did finish 4th in this race last year, but again, I thought Kisser and Run and Opera Heroine, a similar scenario maybe to Kisser Run class-wise, a good fit with this bunch. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the one thing to think about with the filly and mare jump races is there's very little between them. You end up with sort of a mixed bag of field. Mixed field. You have maidens, you'll have allowance winners, you'll have some of these ones that have been knocking heads in these stakes over and over again. Doesn't seem like there's that much difference between them, and we end up with, occasionally end up with a standout, but they seem to trade wins. On form, Kisser and Run's a big standout to me. She's run very well. She was the champion of the division last year. Her best races, and this would be the worry, her best races are not at the racetrack. She got beat up here and, seems to appreciate the more stamina testing race courses we have. So that being said, I think this is, it's a spot for her. It's a, kind of an easier spot. Like you, I looked at Brilliant Match coming off the races at Presque Isle. She's obviously sharp. I'm not sure she's as good as some of the fillies Jonathan's run in these races, but interesting setup. And she's been there, obviously, training and runs very well. And I took a little shot with Opera Heroine. She's 10 years old, but she likes it here. She wants a fast, short race, and she won this a few years ago, or a race like this a few years ago. And Jack Fisher, and maybe she's some value because of some of that form's a little bit deeper in her past. Kisser and Run's the horse to beat to me, though, for sure. And they'll just see. I think she has learned to adapt a little bit. Maybe she's a little better at these racetrack things. But I think she'll be very tough.
And I will also say, I've learned my lesson. I do not have Sully's Approach in my mix, but with Cat's Claw winning over Angel Terrace the other day for Jonathan Shepard, never ignore the other half of the Shepard entry. So in some fashion, I will have Sully's Approach in the mix. But I did find that kind of intriguing that Shepard has both of those in there.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Joe, we appreciate the visit as always. Again, folks can check out the Saratoga Special at the various locations around the track, around town. You can also check at the website address.
This is horseracing.com.
And there's a nice link that sponsored by Keeneland, actually, up in the corner, that gets you to the digital edition, the entire meet's worth of digital editions. And again, you're in the marathon session now. How many more days? What's the countdown?
We've got 5 more. So
five more.
And then we get a couple days off.
Little break, and then they kick right back in now. All right, Joe, thanks for the visit.
Thank you.
Take our next break. When we come back, Peter Thomas Fornatal, the author of The Winning Contest Player and Daily Racing Forum columnist. We'll talk to him. The big contest up here at Saratoga kicks off. We'll talk a little bit about that and contests in general, which are a fun and up-and-coming portion of the handicapping part of the game. Right after this, stay tuned.
Face it, most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. CapitalOTB.com.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their player rewards program and wagering on Saratoga races? For more information, log on to CapitalOTB.com.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3, place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
I'm Jeff Carl. Join me Saturdays and Sundays at 9 for the Handicappers Report. We'll handicap the top tracks across the country and help you prepare for the weekend in racing. That's the Handicappers Report, weekends at 9, only here on the OTB TV network.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. Again, a beautiful morning up here on the Saratoga backstretch. If you're headed up to the track, it's going to be a great day. And don't forget, early post time because there was a steeplechase race today, 12:25. Happy to be joined now by Peter Thomas Fornatal, columnist for the Daily Racing Form, author of The Winning Contest Player. Good morning, Pete.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here, and you're right, it is just gorgeous. A little breeze coming through. Maybe this weather will hold off for us, and the contestants who handicap 2 days of turf racing will actually get to bet on 2 days of turf racing.
And that's a great point. Maybe we'll touch on that in a minute. Switching up, last-minute switch-ups in a contest. But you are, again, the columnist for the Daily Racing Form, focusing on contest. Give us a little idea. It seems to me that's becoming kind of an up-and-coming part of the game. If folks are really having fun with the contest, and the racetracks are now starting to embrace the concept.
Absolutely. One of the things I'm so excited about in covering contests for Daily Racing Form, as I do on my blog over there 5 days a week and also in print a couple days a week, is that it's one of the true growth areas of the sport. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One need that I think contests fill in the simulcast area, these live events, especially like this one at Saratoga today and tomorrow, is it gives people a chance to get together with like-minded individuals and really fosters this great spirit of camaraderie. I'm hearing from all kinds of people, are you going to be there? Where are you sitting? You want to get a drink? Want to go for dinner? And it just gives a chance for everybody to get together and have a lot of fun. And that's one of the #1 things. But of course, it's not just fun. There's also a lot of money involved. This contest at Saratoga today and tomorrow, absolutely one of the best in the country. 0 takeout. In fact, it's a negative takeout if you figure that not only are they paying back the $270,000 approximately that's going into the pool, but they're also giving out berths to the 2 major tournaments at the end of the year, the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge at Santa Anita, and then also, of course, the National Handicapping Championship to be held in January. So there's a lot of good stuff going on here, and I think it's pretty representative. This contest is representative of everything good about the contest world.
And how many players was it?
270, I believe, is the final number, which is a record number. They expanded it this year just due to the extreme interest. As you pointed out, this is something that's really happening as much as it ever has, and I think there's a lot of factors that go into that. But I'm just very happy to be a part of it and try to give contest players a voice and find stories, and also to be there for folks who have questions, who've maybe never played in a contest and want to get involved. I encourage people to contact me, whether it's at Twitter, my Twitter handle is @LoomsBoldly, or via the comments of my Daily Racing Form blog. I'm always happy to try to point people in a direction and offer whatever sort of guidance I can to new players, because this is truly a case of the more the merrier.
Absolutely. And this contest was featured on the Esquire television show Horse Players last year's version of the contest. What were your thoughts on the Horse Players television series?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was very, very entertaining. They had a great group of characters, many of whom I had a chance to interview for the Winning Contest Player, so it felt at points like I was watching my friends up there. And then some of the folks on there I've only had a chance to meet subsequently, like Matt Bernier, who's a colleague now and I love working with. But just the way that the narrative was constructed, the Saratoga contest in particular was one of the most dramatic ones, with the moment that, depending on your perspective, was either Michael Bachok not accepting Christian Helmer's offer of partnership in the spirit in which it was intended, or perhaps an egregious breach of etiquette by Christian Helmer's, and the viewer got to decide.
Yeah, that is part of the intrigue of contests when you're playing them as well, getting down to those last few races. How many bullets do you have left? Where are the other people? I mean, it's fun, it's intriguing, as you say, there's camaraderie, and it also, I think these contests make you think about handicapping in a different way, and I think that's a good thing too.
Absolutely. going to be about a lot more than merely identifying the most likely winner. You have a lot of situations in contests where you actually end up playing a horse that's maybe more of your second or third choice than your top choice. And I think it's good it opens up the mind a little bit in terms of your imagination and your creativity when you're looking for a contest horse. And I know a lot of handicappers who say by playing in contests, that's opened them up to including that long shot that makes that pick 4 really play well. Several players give contests a lot of credit for turning the corner in their cash play, and that's something that's another added benefit of the contest world for sure.
And they've done something really interesting and fun up here at Saratoga this year. On Mondays, they have the low roller contest. It costs $40 to get in. $10 of that goes into the prize pool. $30 is live money that you bet over the course of 5 races, win, place, and show. I played both weeks. It's a lot of fun. And again, folks can get in it reasonably, but it gets you into that contest mode and the contest thinking. I think it's been a great addition.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. This is modeled after the Santa Anita contest that they used to do on the weekends. I think they still do. I refer to them in the book as the low roller contest, and I was thrilled to see the Naira marketing team pick up on that and use it here. But I mean, you can see from the quality of players who play in this that it's no joke. This isn't just people messing around. You can really hone your skills and get a lot of practice at playing contests in this, and it just takes potentially a rainy Monday and makes it really exciting. It's so fun watching your name up and down that leaderboard. And I have to say, apologies to you on your tough beat in week 1. You were leading going into the last race and probably would have won, but for a very aberrant result. So, it's you get to play against us, you get to play against your other friends at the track, and some of the great tournament players that cycle through Saratoga throughout the meet. So,
and I said that, I told the story already, the aberrant result for me made for part of that contest intrigue, because I came into the last race and the horse, the $58 horse or whatever that won the last race, was in my mix. And I thought, should I put it? Because I knew I had to be in good shape in a contest. Should I put it and make it a contest pick? But I already had in a pick 4, which was pick 3, which was paying $2,000. And I thought, if the crazy horse wins, I'm already going to pay it off. So I went another direction, lost the battle, won the war kind of a situation. But again, that was part of the intrigue of a contest. Pete, got to talk to you a little bit about your book, Winning Contest Player. Because that is kind of the impetus that then moved you into the Daily Racing Form, the blogs and the columns and whatnot. But just give us a little background on the book and how new folks and veteran contest players can benefit.
Absolutely. Well, what the book is, it's a sequel in many ways to a book I did for the Racing Form with my buddy Frank Scattoni 10 years ago called 6 Secrets of Successful Bettors. In that book, we interviewed professional horse players and gamblers from other walks of life and attempted to distill their insights into lessons that would help players do better. And I've had a lot of players over the years tell me that helped them immensely. Former NHC champ John Doyle leaps to mind as somebody who said he benefited from that book. So with the Winning Contest Player, I wanted to take a similar approach. Actually, it was Stephen Christ who suggested to me that I take a similar approach for the contest world. So what I did was interview about 30 of the top tournament players, some up-and-comers, some former NHC champs, NHC Tour champs, some names that I'd just seen on leaderboards all around. And I interviewed all of them and attempted to put together a game plan for exactly how to succeed in contest play. And the early results have been very positive. I've had people give partial credit to the book for some of the contests they've won, and I find that very gratifying. Absolutely. And it was just such a great opportunity to meet these personalities and these characters as well. So it's on sale now. You can get it via drf.com. It's also available in a Kindle edition from Amazon.com, or if anybody has any trouble finding it at all, reach out to me directly. I'll make sure to get you hooked up with a signed copy. It's been a ton of fun, and I'm so thrilled that it's led to this larger gig with the Racing Form, because there's too much in this world to cover in a book. It kind of needs to be an ongoing thing, and I'm just happy to be a part of it at Daily Racing Form.
And it did lead to the blogs and the columns and the Daily Racing Form, and give folks a little insight into that. Yeah, it seems like, again, we've talked about the fun and the intrigue of contest playing, and you're bringing some of that to life. The one I read recently talked about the agent clocker Gary Young out at Del Mar winning $96,000 at the Del Mar contest using some of his expertise. So he's now agent clocker contest player / He's
got a lot of slashes. He's got more slashes than me in that name, which is pretty impressive. But Gary Young is a great example of somebody within the industry who's looked to this and said, you know, this is a way to have fun, this is a way to make some money. Because there are contests like the Del Mar one and like the one here, like the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, where you can have these very rare situation in horse racing where more money gets paid out of the pool than goes into the pool. And I'd love to see more people in the industry, there are strict guidelines for trainers and owners of, you know, obviously that your races that your horses are in are off limits, but just the way that these same folks can bet at the windows, they're encouraged to play in contests as well. And it's another just potential avenue to get us some talented horse players in these contests. And it's the kind of thing I always keep an eye out for industry folks and great stories, and that's the kind of stuff I'm writing about day in, day out at the Forum.
What's maybe one or two of the other stories that stood out to you since you started doing the blog?
Well, I've got the one for you, and it's a guy who's here today, actually. Ron Rippey, the 2006 NHC champion. He had a serious medical condition. He had open heart surgery in the 1960s, and one of the infusions that he received contained hepatitis C. So he's been battling that for, you know, since then, basically. And he's had a very serious run of hospitalizations and was in kind of rough shape, always playing online, true horse player that he is, but unable to attend live events. Now, very recently, there was a touted miracle drug that was written up in the New York Times recently for hepatitis C that he started taking, and lo and behold, he was on the good side. One of the people whose symptoms immediately got better started playing in live contests again. He was out at the Wynn in Las Vegas last weekend, a great contest run by a guy named John Avello that covers Del Mar and Saratoga. Ends up having a day one for the ages where 10 of his 15 bets cash. He hangs on grimly on day two, ends up taking home, I wish I could remember the number, but close to $150,000. And now he's flown across country right here to Saratoga looking for the double. So their stories are everywhere.
And why don't we let people know? Now we're making people salivate a little bit, maybe non-contest players to get into the game. Just generally, how do people, we have the NHC group out there and whatnot, how do people get into contest playing?
Absolutely. Well, the two that I have to mention first are the ones in the DRF family of contests. We have NHCQualify.com, which is the most popular way to qualify for the NHC, where over 2 million in purses will be given away. There's contests on there just about every weekend. Also, BCQualify.com is, in my opinion, the best way to qualify for the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge. And both BC Qualify and NHC Qualify are now running what we're calling credit contests, where you can play on there for a much lower buy-in of $25 or $40 and win money that can be applied to either your DRF betting account or to NHC Qualify or BC Qualify. So that's the easiest way. There should be a complete list of contests at the NTRA website that will list all of the places to qualify for the NHC. But then there's other littler things happening all over. So stay tuned to my Twitter feed. I try to mention stuff as it comes up. And looking at the NTRA site and just keeping your ear to the ground, there'll be many more opportunities.
And we've also alluded to it, but you don't have to travel. There are a lot of online contests out there as well.
Absolutely. I always encourage people to go to the brick and mortars, as we call them. Such a great atmosphere. But in terms of your week in, week out, or if you're watching us online right now and not in a place near a brick and mortar racetrack, tons of stuff online. Another great one I want to mention that you can jump in anytime and start playing is publichandicapper.com. That's absolutely free, and you can compete for weekly and monthly prizes, as well as they have a couple of bigger contests throughout the year. And I mean, with the price point of free, what better way to cut your teeth?
And I just signed up for the NHC series earlier this year, and I've just been so busy. I've jumped in on maybe only one or two of the online contests, but it's tough for me. We have some great contests right at the Clubhouse Racebook down in Albany for Capital, but being on television, I'm not allowed in those. So I've done the low rollers here the past couple of Mondays, but I used to go to Hinsdale, the dog track. They had a great spring contest and a great fall contest that I went to, again, before the dog track closed up. And the contests, they're just a lot of fun. And part of what you mentioned earlier, it's the camaraderie. It's the guys guys sitting next to you, what do you have, what do you have, and watching the names go up and down the board, it brings some of that racetrack flavor that we get almost every day here at Saratoga, but you don't get necessarily every day at a lot of racetracks, but it brings that back together.
That's a great point. I mean, I have to say, when I spoke to the 30 players I did for the winning contest player, the number one reason by far that they play in contests, more than the money, more than anything, more than the intellectual exercise, it was that camaraderie. It was that idea that you make lifelong friendships in that room, and the idea that you can, maybe you're not having your day, you're not in it, but you look at the leaderboard and see a couple of your friends, and you're genuinely happy to see those people win if you don't win, and that's pretty cool.
And there's also the fact, as you say, that guys like Ron Rippey and the folks that you write about, that if you're just sitting back watching some of these contests, there's some stories there you can root for, up close and personal kind of things that you introduce folks to. And again, you can catch Pete's work, Daily Racing Form, the hard copy, drf.com, and also the winning contest player for sale on drf.com. Great book if you intend to get into the contest game. Peter Thomas Fornatale. Pete, we appreciate the visit this morning.
Always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, we'll take our next break. When we come back, we'll be joined by owner Paul Saylor. His Shadow heading into the Hall of Fame on Friday. We'll talk about that and much more right after this. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today. Summer at Saratoga, and there's no better place to watch all the racing action than right here on OTB TV. Each morning, the Handicappers Report brings you selections and analysis from our professional handicappers. Then stick around as the biggest names in racing join us live from the backstretch. The top trainers, jockeys, and racing personalities all share their unique insights and observations. For more than 20 years, there's been just one place to turn for unparalleled coverage of the Saratoga Racing Meet, Capital OTB and OTB TV.
Fascinated by the world of horse racing? Interested in honing your handicapping skills? Class is in session. Night school, Monday nights. Easy to access online. It's free, interactive, and informative for the casual and serious race fan. Horse Player Now Buzz. Live horses to watch emailed to you daily. Our eyes, your prize. Night school in the buzz. Visit horseplayernow.com for details.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, live from the Saratoga backstretch. As promised before the break, we are joined now by Paul Saylor, owner of Shadow, going into the Hall of Fame on Friday. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning.
Happy to have you on board, particularly with a big day coming up. And before we get into that, I'm always intrigued and interested when we have owners, trainers, jockeys on, how you got into the game. It goes from folks who have family that they just followed in the family business, essentially, to on the other side of the spectrum, in grade school, they snuck under the fence at the racetrack. How did you get into the racing game?
Well, I gave an interview to Joe Clancy a couple mornings ago, and he printed the whole thing, unfortunately, because it made me look like some kind of deviant. Years ago, I was at a charity function in Houston, Texas, and hadn't bought a horse, and I bought the last quarter horse that went through the ring, and I was the winning bidder, the underbidder, and the under-underbidder, so you can tell what kind of night it was. And that's how I got started. It was probably 30 years ago, and spent a few years in quarter horses and migrated into thoroughbreds, and for a number of years, nothing but cheap horses, and things got better.
So where were you bouncing around with the quarter horses?
Ruidoso, Los Al, just places in Texas you never heard of.
Remember your first winner?
Yeah, I do. It was a horse named Sarah's Gone Native, named after my oldest daughter.
Everybody remembers the first winner.
That's
You
right.
still have the
That's
photo
right.
someplace?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Hanging right next to Ashado's photos.
Very good. And let's talk a little bit about Ashado. Again, on Friday, the Hall of Fame inductions. She'll join Curlin, Gary Jones, and Alex Solis being inducted. And let's talk a little bit about Ashado and just, her career. I want to pull up a race here from Saratoga. Ashado, the Gopher Wand in 2005. We're going to watch number 5, Ashado, get it done here and get it done pretty convincingly. Just talk a little bit about how you got involved with Ashado.
Well, I met Jack Wolf of Starlight Racing several years ago. In 2001, we bought, together with Johns Martin in one-third partnership, 3 horses. One was Purge and one was Ashado. And that made life look easy in the racing business. And of course, that's not reality, but that's how we started together. And Barry Berkelhammer, Bloodstock agent founder, and the rest is pretty well known.
And we're seeing her here, a nice Grade 1 victory up at Saratoga. As an owner, how special is that?
Well, as an owner, it's special to win any kind of race, anywhere, anytime. But you win a race at Saratoga, and especially a graded stakes race, there's just nothing better.
Yeah, and there it is in the Gopher Wand, but we also wanted to show because the year prior she had won the Breeders' Cup Distaff down at Lone Star. Wanted to take a look at this one as well. That was 2004, and again it was Lone Star. Number 1, Ashado gets it done. John Velasquez on board, and again racing for you and Starlight Racing. Talk a little bit about how you got involved with the Starlight guys, Don Lucarelli and Jack Wolf.
Well, Don wasn't around in those days. He's an addition. Jack was an Atlanta guy. I lived in Atlanta at that time. We met through mutual friends, and I'd been kicking around horses for a while and thought that I could probably upgrade my program by having a partner who knew what he was doing. And so we owned a number of horses for a while together.
And Ashado, again, wins there in the Breeders' Cup Distaff, wins the next year in the Gopher Wand. A couple of Eclipse Awards involved there. We'll talk about another one in just a moment. But again, I want to get back to Saratoga, and Saratoga as an owner. When did you start coming up to Saratoga?
About 20 years ago.
And what do you see as differences for the facility in the town in those 20 years?
Yeah, this may be a different answer that you get from talking to most people, but not much, and I think that's part of the charm.
Yeah.
I don't want Saratoga to change. And it's, as you well know, a lovely place. And for someone who doesn't live here year-round, I look forward to this race meet more than any other anywhere.
Yeah, and I've said it before, and I'll get your opinion, because with these kind of horses, you've traveled around to the different venues. I always say it's not just the racetrack. That's great. It's historic. There's great crowds here, great racing, but it's the town that makes it so special.
Well, it's the town, it's the backside. I mean, I enjoy the backside more than the front side, to be honest with you. And coming out early in the morning, I do it every day. Ride my bike over here from the house I rent, and drink coffee and pretend like I know what I'm doing.
Well, you don't have to pretend too hard, because again, I said we'd talk about another eclipse as well, and I want to pull up, going back to 2006, the Personal Ensign up here, another Grade 1 race. We're going to watch the number 5 Fleet Indian get it done. This time, your colors coming down the stretch. When you're a partner, that's fun too, but when you can watch your own colors, Fleet Indian gets it done. That leads to an eclipse for her that year, as well as the older female. But again, number 5, Fleet Indian, getting it done in the Personal Ensign in 2006. And I just want to ask you, in life, it's just human nature. When we're getting good fortune, I don't know whether we appreciate it as much as a little ways away to reflect. 3 eclipses in 3 years. Did you realize how special that was at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. You know, yeah, I was mad the next year, but
the more human nature.
Greedy guy, yeah, like all other owners. But you know, I kind of fell into the ownership of Fleet Indian, so it was all that more spectacular. In the Personal Ensign, I loved her win up here because Ashado had a couple of problems in the Personal Ensign the year before, so that was, you know, a really nice payback for me. Yeah.
Well, talk a little bit about it. You talk about falling into the horse. Talk a little bit about how you got Fleet Indian.
Well, I was at the January Keeneland sale, and that sale was brood mares and weanlings, and you know, kind of horses that no one else knows what to do with, and that's the category, I guess, that Fleet Indian fell into. And I was walking along one of the lower pathways and looked up on the hill, and there was this horse that looked like it was a mile high, and she was body clipped, and I said, that's not a weanling, that's not a brood mare, who is it? And it was Fleet Indian, and I bought her, and we didn't get to race her until March, and she won 8 in a row, and was an Eclipse champion.
Excellent. And again, that's 3 in a row. Very, very special, including in that mix some great ones up here at Saratoga. So a nice, again, string of races there that not something usual in the horse owning game.
I know that. How many years ago was that, and where are we now? So I know this.
And I talked about the win photos. I always like to know what people do with the Eclipse trophies. Where do you have yours displayed?
Mine are in a home I own in Charleston, South Carolina.
Very good. Yeah. Prominently displayed?
Very prominently displayed. You trip over them when you walk in the door.
As they should be. I want to shift gears here a little bit because we had Diane Pokulski on the other day, Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation. It was a fundraiser for the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation and Olivia's Herd. Olivia's Herd in memory of your daughter. It's a little outcropping of the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation with a specialty. Talk a little bit about Olivia's Herd and the impetus for creating it.
Well, one, Olivia was my youngest of 5 children, my race buddy since she was old enough to walk, and came to every race and screamed louder for a shot than anybody else. And so I had participated with the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation, and it was their suggestion, actually, which I appreciate very much, to do something special within the TRF that acknowledged Olivia. And we took the 25 most needy horses and called them Olivia's Herd, and the money that's donated in her name goes to support Olivia's Herd. So it's been wonderful for me. And we're going to perpetuate this.
Yeah, a fitting memory and a great cause. And there is an oliviasherd.org website if folks want to donate. If you go to the Thoroughbred Retirement Foundation website, there's a link on there as well, so you can find out more information about it if people are compelled to donate. And again, there was a nice fundraiser the other night as well. Paul, since we have you on board, let me ask some general racing questions. You've been a prominent owner over the years. One of the hot button topics really over the last week or so has been this Lasix question, which really has been bouncing around for a couple of years now. What are your thoughts on Lasix or no Lasix?
My involvement in racing is non-political, and it's going to stay that way. But I think the announcement of, a few days ago, the group of trainers that got together and formed opinions on race day medical, I'll go with that group. And the use of drugs as publicized to the general public is way overdone. Anybody with half a brain knows that.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of self-serving statements being made. The industry, in my view, is extremely clean. I've been around 30 years, and I've seen it, bad parts, but 99% of the good parts. And I think banning Lasix over time, little step at a time, is a proper thing to do. But it doesn't. Doing that doesn't make the industry any cleaner. It's a valid treatment, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm right with you. I think there are both sides to this story, and I can see both sides. But I think the folks that think it's some kind of panacea. I look back at when steroids were pulled out of the game a couple of years ago. I don't think the mainstream media took any more of a benevolent view of the racing industry, and I don't think they will when we.
The mainstream media is not going to take a benevolent view of the racing industry, and no matter what we do.
Speaking of that, you said you've been in the game 30 years. What are your thoughts on kind of the abandonment of the sport by the mainstream media? And I don't think racing has kind of responded in a positive way. I know going out on the internet 10 years ago as racing coverage started to disappear, you'd go on some of the forums and fans would say, oh, well, I can find all the information I need on the internet. But I think, when it disappears from the newspapers, the entries and whatnot, that's essentially free advertising for the game. And I don't think we can afford to just let that go without putting up a little bit of a fight.
No, and I think the media and the general public doesn't know what it needs to know about thoroughbred horse racing in order to be interested in it. And you can either look at it from a gambling aspect, or what I do is I love the sport. I love the animals. I could care less about gambling, frankly, but it is not promoted as a sport. It is not promoted supporting the equine athletes. And again, like everybody else has said, and I agree with, this is a function of not having a national organization which is self-governing, which does things the right way. We've got fiefdoms, all the states, all the organizations, and this really has to be re-promoted as a sport to compete with other major sports.
Yeah, again, I've just seen over the past 10 years or so, writers and content disappear from newspapers, and I don't think that does the game well, and I think the game does have to push back a little bit and make it. Steve Haskin wrote a piece the other day that essentially said the newspapers just seem to feel like, well, we don't have to pay attention to horse racing, and as he made the point, it's up to the newspapers to kind of push the game and develop fans, and you would think they would do that because then it would provide more content for them and more pages for advertising. And
yeah, what the newspapers in general have done is cover the sport in a negative aspect.
Absolutely.
And so if something's controversial, like the talking heads and all the news shows, that's what they talk about.
Yeah, and
if you take a place like Charleston, South Carolina, there are a lot of horse people around Charleston. They don't know anything about racing. Number one, there's no racing in the state, and number two, what they have learned is mostly negative. And I've named now 12 horses after things in Charleston. It's been picked up in the paper, and one was Olivia's house address. And so the horse wasn't very good, but at least she got a splash in the Charleston papers. So I get calls from people all the time, but it has to be, I think, kind of a grassroots efforts to get people, especially young people, interested in the animals and not all the clutter around.
Yeah, and I think that over the past couple of years, there are some things that the industry is doing right, but I think there's more we can do with the extended television coverage this year.
And that's why I like TRF. It's a really feel-good story.
Yeah, absolutely.
Feel-good organization.
Speaking of feel-good stories, just before we let you go, let's go back once more. Friday, Ashado gets inducted to the Hall of Fame. We talked about 3 eclipses and how special that is. What's it mean to get into the Hall of Fame with one of your horses?
Well, I can't even describe it. And what are the odds against buying a yearling and several years later having her inducted, being good enough to have her inducted in the Hall of Fame? I mean, tell me what the odds are. You can't make the odds. And this is truly a once-in-a-lifetime shot, as a lot of other things in our game are, but this is extremely, extremely special, and in large part due to the fact of Olivia's involvement with Ashado. She loved that horse every race, in the barn with her, so it's great.
And again, just to remind people of the partners in the horse.
Jack and Lori Wolf at that time, and now doing business as Starlight Racing, Johns Martin, and me.
Very good, and that'll be Friday, the inductions. It should be a lot of fun. And again, you struck lightning there for 3 years, rewarded again in 2014 as Ashado will get her plaque. You remember the phone call that said you're in?
Yeah, I do. I was driving somewhere in South Carolina, and actually Jack Wolf called me. And we expected to get in, but that doesn't mean you're in.
Yeah,
so it was a good call.
Yeah, her name on the list did look like kind of a slam dunk. She had an absolutely great career, and we congratulate you on that and wish you well in the future as well. Paul, we appreciate the visit.
Like to be here. Thank you.
Paul Saylor, owner of Ashado, and she will be inducted into the Hall of Fame right up here in Saratoga, across the street from the racetrack, although the ceremony is actually over at the Facing-Tipton Pavilion if you want to come up Friday morning. All right, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up the Wednesday edition of Racing Across America. Stay tuned.
I'm Brian Nadeau of HorsePlayerNow.com. Did you know that each Monday during the Saratoga Racing Meet, all Capital Bets account holders can earn an additional 1% in their player rewards program and wagering on Saratoga races? For more information, log on to CapitalOTB.com.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Saratoga Classic on August 9th. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Jeff Carl, Join me weekdays right here on OTB TV. I'll be reporting from the Saratoga backstretch, and you can catch me later on 10 ABC. I'll give you some spot picks for the next day's racing card.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. Thanks to Paul Saylor, Pete Fornatal, and Joe Clancy for joining us on the show this morning. Again, a beautiful morning up here on the backstretch. Sun is shining. The temperature's very, very comfortable, so should be a great day of racing. And again, I was surprised to hear on the radio this morning that there was heavy rains down in the Albany area yesterday. But it's perfectly nice up here. I was over in Amsterdam, where I live, and didn't have anything like that yesterday. So if you're down in that area and you're concerned what the weather was like, I think a little north of Albany escaped it. So things are really, really nice up here at Saratoga this afternoon. If you plan to come up, come on up. It's going to be a great day. Going back to yesterday and the day before, again, $3 million sellers at the auction, a couple of Tappet fillies and a Warfront filly. The Warfront filly does have Will Take Charge in the bloodlines, and subsequently was bought by the Will Take Charge connections of Horton and Lucas. They paid $1.25 million last night, really right near the end of the sale too. So I think overall, folks were pretty happy with the sale over the past couple of nights. And as I said earlier, you can check out and get a good comprehensive recap in the Saratoga special if you pick that up on track today, or go check it out online. Just to give you some of the other events that are happening here at the racetrack in the upcoming week. Irish American Day is today. That's part of the International Heritage Series they're having during the race meet up here. They're out in that Saratoga Pavilion tent, which is out behind the grandstand, kind of down by the reserved ticket office. If you have to ask for directions, ask for a reserved ticket office, and if you get in that area, you'll see the pavilion. Traditional Irish bagpipers, chefs from the Capital Region will have cooking demonstrations of classic Irish dishes, et cetera, et cetera. That's from 11 to 5. The Battle of Saratoga handicapping contest is today, and we talked about that with Pete Fornatal. I believe it's sold out, but as I talked about those low roller contests on Mondays, this is kind of a high roller contest with a $1,000 entry fee. 275 folks entered, so they're playing for over $250,000 in potential. So it should just be fun over the next couple of days to see who's who, because there will be some names that are recognizable from big contest wins over the past few years in Vegas and whatnot. Taste of New York Wine and Cheese, that's tomorrow up here from noon until 4:30, and get in the Saratoga Pavilion. As noted earlier, the Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, the inductions are Friday at 10:30, right down the street in the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion. And then there's a Taste of New York craft beer and cider tasting at the Saratoga Pavilion also on Friday. On Saturday, Four-Star Dave Handicap, Jockey's Legend Day, Saratoga Warhorse, Lord and Taylor Fashion. Sunday, it's the Saratoga Special in the Adirondack. There's also a tote bag giveaway on Sunday, and the Taste of New York will be food and artisans. And then Monday, there's always family fun days on Mondays, and wrapping up the racing week. Again, Mondays also, those low roller contests, and as noted, they're a lot of fun. There's a little spot where you can enter right under the grandstand. If you ask at information booths or whatnot, they'll get you in the right direction. I've played the past couple of weeks. $40, they give you a prepaid cash card, and you can play that during the afternoon. They're a lot of fun. So if you haven't played the low roller contest yet, put that on your calendar for Monday. All right, we're going to wrap things up for this edition of Racing Across America. During the racing season, we're here every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That means tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. we'll be back on board. Hopefully you'll join us. So head over to the track or go to your local OTB or fire up capitalotbbet.com. Make a few bets, cash a few wagers, and we'll see you again tomorrow morning.
Racing Across America is brought to you by Pannell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track. And Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.